Welcome dear students. Today we are going to talk about the second part of Hindu Samaskaras. The main objectives of this lecture are to understand the concept of Samaskaras, to understand various kinds of Samaskaras, and finally to understand the significance of Samaskaras. In previous lecture we discussed about the background and some of the Samaskaras to be performed in the early life of a child. Today we shall take forward the discussion on the other or the rest of the Samaskaras. Dear students, let's discuss the educational Samaskaras first. In the educational Samaskaras, the first Samaskara we have, that's called as a Vidyarambha, which literally means learning the alphabet. This Samaskara is referred variously as Akshara Rambha, Akshara Lekhan, Akshara Vikaran, Akshara Vishkaran. This Samaskara is held in the 5th year and is necessarily to be performed before the starting of Vedic education or Vedarambha. While performing this Samaskara, the child has first to take a bath. He is supposed to sit facing west, while the Acharya or his teacher sits opposite in the eastern direction. The saffron or kumkuma and rice are spread on a silver board. With the help of a golden or a silver pen, the child is prepared to write letters or aksharas on the rice. The child is supposed to write the expressions like acknowledgement to God Ganesha, acknowledgement to Goddess Saraswati, which is Goddess of knowledge, acknowledgement to family deities, and acknowledgement to Narayana, that's Vishnu, and Lakshmi, who is the consort of Vishnu. After this, the child writes Om Namah Siddham. At the end, the child offers gifts to his teacher, which include a pag and saffo, head ornament of cloth. The Acharya in return blesses the child. Dear students, let's now talk about the another Samaskara, which is called Upanayana or Yagnopavit, which literally means sacred thread initiation. This Samaskara is performed at the age of 8. The Acharya initiates the child with the sacred thread called Janoi or Yagnopavit. Amongst all the Samaskaras discussed so far, this is considered as a supreme one. This marks the beginning of a new life, as the child gets the status of Divija, which literally means twice born. By performing this Samaskara, a person enters studentship. This stage is marked by one of the 4 stages of life called Brahmacharya or the stage of celibacy, and it is believed that it may help the child to live a life of perfect discipline. At this stage, a child is handed over to his Acharya and is supposed to leave his home. The Samaskara has been recommended for both boys and girls belonging to upper 3 Varnas. Those are Brahmans, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Thus, through this Samaskara, it was hoped that both the boy and girl shall receive guidance in obedience, truthful living and physical service. However, with the passage of time, it was confined to boys only and as such stopped girls, who now were not entailed for properly education. Today, the practice of education essentially through this Samaskara has died out. Its role has been confined to bestow Divijatva status to the son only. The term Upanayana has derived from the 2 words Upa means near and Nayan means to take, which means to take the son to the Acharya. It is believed that like his parents, the Acharya will shape the student with love and persistence into a man of quality. He will develop in him the important knowledge of the Vedas. Here it is pertinent to mention that one may not come across a reference of such an ideal and lofty values attached with studentship as we come across in the Indian civilization. It is argued that if a pupil honestly fulfills all the requirements of this samskara, he may turn himself into a successful scholar or acharya. Apart from receiving education at the feet of his teacher, the student also gets training in different aspects of the householder, which are very beneficial in his life once he returns back to his family. The student wear one janoi, while as the householder could wear two, one for himself and one for his life partner. The three threads of the janoi refer to the three gunas or qualities, which is sattva guna, which is related to reality, rajas guna, related to passion, and tamasa guna, which is related to darkness. It is believed that it will remind the wearer that he has to pay off the three debts he owes to the teacher, family, and gods. The three strings are tied by a knot referred as the Brahma Granthi, which symbolizes Brahma, who is the creator of the universe, Vishnu, who is the sustainer of the universe, and Shiva, who is the destroyer of the universe. The important significance of wearing this janoi is that it constantly reminds the person of several of gods which the threads represent. Thus, he be always be vigilant prior to any action and will stop him from any action that may not be in tune with the instruction of the Dharma Shastras or law books of Hinduism. Dear students, let's now talk about the another Samaskara that's called a Vedaramba or beginning of Vedic study. The Samaskara has not been referred in the earliest list of the Dharma Sutras, which instead mentions the four Vedic vows, Vedvratas. Thus, one may argue that as Upanayana marked the beginning of education, it did not correspond with Vedic education. Therefore, a different Samaskara was felt necessary to start the Vedic education. In this Samaskara, each student, as per his varna, study his own branch of the Vedas. Dear students, let's now talk about another Samaskara called Keshant Godan, which literally means shaving the beard. This Samaskara is included as one of the four Vedvratas. When the other three washed out, Keshant automatically became a separate Samaskara. The literary meaning of this Samaskara is Kesh means hair and Ant means end. This Samaskara is performed at the age of 16 years of age and involves the first shaving of the beard by the student. It is also referred as Godan as it involves gifting a cow to the teacher and gifts to the barber as well. By performing this Samaskara, the student starts a new stage of his life, which means manhood. It was considered necessary as he should be now more vigilant over his impulses of youth. To remind him of his promise of brahmacharya, he is supposed to take the promise anew, so to live in accordance with severe discipline for 1 year. Dear students, let's now talk about another Samaskara called Samavartan or end of studentship. The Samaskara marks the end of brahmacharya phase, the end of studentship life, and may mean coming back to home from the house of the teacher or acharya. While performing this Samaskara, the student has to take a ritual sacrificial bath known as Avabrut Sanan. It is sacrificial because it marks the end of long observance of brahmacharya. It is a ritual bath as it symbolizes the crossing of the ocean of learning by the student. Hence, referred as Vidyasnatak means one who has crossed the ocean of learning. The Hindu tradition and the Sanskrit literature compared learning with an ocean. However, before taking bath, the student has to seek permission from the acharya to end his studentship. It also marked the ritual of Guru Dakshina or tuition fee. Permission is necessary as it endorsed the student as a person who is now fit in education, custom and character which were essential for a married life. The gifts made by the student to the acharya in no way compensate the fee to the teacher in real sense. Therefore, one sutra refers to this debt of the teacher as unpayable. It further states that the whole earth with all its resources may not be sufficient for the Guru Dakshina. Thus, one may argue that the Guru Dakshina paid was a courtesy and the acharya says, "My child, enough with money. I am satisfied with your merits." He would elaborate with the inspiring declaration referred as Dikshant Pravachan mentioned in the Taittiriya Upanishad. There was no exit option for the students who wished to remain as lifelong students by observing brahmacharya. They were as such allowed to remain with the acharya. In the present context, it may means accepting a spiritual guru, an ikantik, satpurush and becoming a sadhu. By this way, the student thus bypasses the next two ashrams to enter sannyas. Dear students, let's now talk about the another samskara called vivaha or marriage. The vivaha or marriage has a special place in all the religions and cultures across the world. It was considered one of the important samskara within the Hindu tradition. The Simriti literature discusses in detail the importance of the samskara and places the grihastha or householdership ashram as the highest among the other three, as it was considered the central support to others. In this regard, Manusmriti states, after completing the first stage of one's life in the house of a teacher, the second stage has to be enjoyed with family, while the third stage in the forest, one should finally seek sannyas in the fourth stage of life and thereby shed away every worldly attachment. It was through this samaskara that an individual is qualified for the fulfillment of the four goals of life, Purusha Arthas, which is Dharma, righteousness, Artha, that's wealth, Kama, that's desire, and Moksha, that is salvation. The samaskara also helps him to complete other obligations like paying off the ancestral debt by having children, as the reproduction of child is considered to be a primary object of marriage. Besides its religious significance, it has also the social implications as it helps in the continuation of society. The Hindu text recommends 8 different forms of marriage, 4 of which are held approved or prashastha, and the other 4 are considered unapproved or aprashastha by the Shastras. For a balanced and ideal society, marriage has been considered as an indispensable element in all cultures across the world. A society without a sound institution of marriage is bound to degrade. According to some scholars, one of the causes for the decline of the Roman Empire was promiscuity. The institution of marriage enables both an individual and the society to maintain its moral values, and a sound foundation of this institution may help a society to peace and progress. At the same time, it does not cause damage to others nor break one's freedom. This samaskara is essential in boosting cultural values and a path for dharma. It sustains and encourages moral virtues and self-control. There are 8 forms of marriage discussed by Hindu scriptures, which are mainly divided into 2 categories. One category is referred as approved and another as disapproved by social and religious authorities. Let's have a look into them. Approved marriage or prashastha marriages. Among the approved marriage, the first is the Braham. This is referred as purest form of marriage and highly sanctioned for the Brahmana Varna. This marriage is performed with the consent of girl's parents, in which father gives his daughter along with the assets of ornament in marriage to a man who has good character and well versed in Shastras without taking anything in the exchange from groom. Another is Daiva. This kind of marriage is considered somewhat inferior to Braham marriage, as in this kind the father of girl gives gifts to the priest to whom he marries his daughter. In simple words, we can say in this marriage, the girl is married to a priest only who officiates yajanas. The third is arsh. In this type of marriage, the father of a bride receives a pair of cow and ox or two pairs of the same from the bridegroom in order to perform a yajna or religious ritual. But this reception of cow and ox pairs is not the price of bride, rather gifts only. This kind of marriage was prevalent in the priestly families only. The another is Prajapatya marriage. In this marriage, the father gives his daughter to a groom with this endeavor that both will perpetuate the civil and religious duties together. It is called Prajapatya because the couple is performing their duties to Prajapati for giving birth to children and subsequently raise them well. One of the leading thinkers of ancient India, namely Kautilya, in his magnum opus called Arthashastra, prohibits divorce in all of these four forms of marriage. Now, the another category is that of the disapproved or aprashastha marriages. In the disapproved category, the first marriage is called the Asura marriage. In this form of marriage, the bridegroom offers wealth or what one calls dowry to the relatives of the bride for getting her into his marriage, and the bride accepts this wealth from groom with all her heart and will. Manusmriti condemns it by referring this as a kind of marriage which had a silent by nature. Another marriage is Gandharva marriage. This form of marriage is referred as love marriage by Manusmriti, as bride and groom perpetuate it at their own choice. It is said that this marriage was mainly prevalent in the Kshatriya clans as they represent the freest category in the society. The another category is the Rakshasa. This is a form of forceful marriage in which bridegroom elopes the bride forcefully after attacking and injuring her family members. This marriage was found as a common phenomena among the Kshatriya clan, as they used to perpetuate it when they used to engage themselves in warfare with others. They considered the women found in these warfares nothing but as the booties of war. The another marriage is called a Pisach marriage. This is considered as most disapproved marriage by Manusmriti. In this form of marriage, a man gets engaged in sexual intercourse with a girl when she is either in deep sleep or alone or mad or drunk. Thus, this is referred as the most barbaric kind of marriage by lawgivers. Dear students, let's talk about another samskara called Anteshti or death rites. The great scholars of ancient India and the texts, which are Rishis and Dharma Sutras respectively, agree on the ultimate goal for any individual. After completing different stages of life and while fulfilling different goals, the individual has to be focused on the ultimate reality, that is moksha. In this way, death is not an end in itself but a beginning to another journey about which the Hindu text has much to say. In this direction, the famous classical poet of ancient India, Kalidasa, in his famous work Raghuvamsa, states, I quote, "A person receives education during childhood, satisfy his desire in the youth, shishave, abhya sthavidyananam, yovane, vishyashnam, vardhakhe, munivrittanam, yoginate, tanutyajanam," which may be translated as one studies during childhood, which is brahmacharya ashram, fulfills his desire during youth, abandons worldly attachment for quiet meditation during old age, and then seeks for God realization, after which he leaves his body. The Anteshti is the final samaskara in the life of a Hindu. Though this samaskara is performed after the death of a person by his relations, it is of, as discussed above, the value of the other world is considered much higher than this world. The final rituals are performed with careful care with the support of Brahmin priests. There are various rituals to be performed after the death. To start with, a few leaves of tulsi and a few drops of water are placed in the mouth of the dead person. After that, the dead body is put down on the floor, which has been cleansed by putting the sacred cow dung. The old clothes are detached from body and bathed with holy water. The body is then roofed with one piece of new cloth which should be unbleached, uncut cloth. It is then laid on a bare nanami made of bamboo canes tied with jute strings. The primary message in taking away the old clothes can be understood from a Sanskrit word. Dhanani bhumau pashavascha goshthi nari guru hadvare shakha samasane dhyas chitayam paraloka marge dharmanogo gachati jiva ikaha. The money will remain buried, cattle will remain there, his wife will escort him to the entrance, friends will escort him to the crematorium, the body will come till the funeral pyre, but on his final path to the next world, the soul goes alone with his karmas. In the Swaminarayan Sampradaya, there is a special ritual where possibly the sadhus are called, who then do puja of the deceased with vermilion dust. A new kanthi and flower garlands are placed around the neck. The sadhus and the close relatives then do arti followed by pradakshina. Everyone present chants the Swaminarayan mantra. The sadhus then leave after delivering a consolatory. This rite performed by sadhus remains unique to the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. It infuses spiritual strength and thus considerably offsets the grief and hurt suffered by the relatives of the dead. The family members then take the body to the cremation pyre, all the while chanting the Lord's name. Ram Bolo by Ram is the most commonly used phrase. While in Bengal, they made use of Hari Bol, Hari Bol. In the Swaminarayan Sampradaya, the Swaminarayan Dhun is chanted. After the dead body is laid on the funeral pyre, ghee is poured over it and the fire is kindled by the nearest relative. The use of sesame seeds is also dotted onto the fire as a type of puja. The later two steps are obviously not possible where an electric kiln is used for cremation. From the discussion, it becomes clear that all the samaskaras are spiritually oriented. However, some of them openly promote the environment in one or the other way. This nature of the samaskaras has been realized by the scientists in the past decades as well. They had observed that in case of cremation, for example, is the best, most efficient and environmentally cautious process for disposing of the dead. Dear students, while concluding this lecture, we can say that the rituals, or what may call them samaskaras, are present in all the religions of the world. Humans right from the inception are performing several types of rituals. Every religion of the world had a set of rituals for its followers. The rituals had an importance in their own way, both for an individual as well as for the religion. Like many cultures and civilizations, the Hindus in the past had formulated a set of 16 samaskaras which were considered essential for living a purposeful life. The samaskara scheme was well thought one, as it does not only inculcate the religious values in an individual but are essential in other pursuits of life as well. However, the dawn of modernity has brought many challenges to the humans and had in many ways affected the very essence of these samaskaras as well. Despite all this, the samaskaras still constitute an important pillar of our cultural identity and act as a bond with our past history and heritage. Dear students, that was all about today's lecture regarding samaskaras. Hope you have understood it well. We shall meet in next topic. Till then, take care and goodbye.